This is Cruise Control.
Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staab and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
And welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It's that time again, everyone. Buckle up and get ready because we've got a great hour of automotive information, new reveals, new studies. Les Jackson will show his collection of seatbelt buckles. It's going to be great. Right, Les? You've been collecting a while, haven't
buckles, you? Yes. Seatbelt buckles and parking tickets.
All right.
I have a huge collection.
Huge collection. Well, we're going to start this hour with a question. What vehicle is more American than an F-150? Les, do you know? Any idea?
I would say a Navy F-14 Hornet.
Not necessarily a vehicle, but it does move you around very quickly. But
and it is American. No,
it
but
is
you're
American.
Right. The F-150 is, that's America right there.
Well, we're going to take a look at the 2024 Cars.com American-Made Index, and the F-150 is not in the, I don't know, top 20. So we'll
really?
talk about it. Yeah,
really?
We'll talk about that.
Wow.
It's going to be a good story and tell you which ones are the most American made and how they figure it out too. So
there you go. And speaking of American, should American car manufacturers pull out of the Chinese market? One analyst says, "Yep, let's do it now."
Yeah, you think about GM. That's been a big part of their business plan, and they did so well with Buick early on. But who knows? Maybe it's time. We'll talk about what this analyst has to say. And BMW celebrates its X5. Can you believe it? The BMW X5 is 25 years old, and they're celebrating with a special anniversary model. We'll tell you a little bit about it. All built in South Carolina. That is on the list as a USA-built vehicle. We'll talk about that.
Absolutely. And Toyota says it will build performance cars, but it can't do it alone. So we'll tell you who's going to help them.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them team up with the likes of BMW and Subaru, and, let's see what happens. We're going to see a lot more of these in the automotive industry as people start spending on things like electric vehicles and self-driving and safety technology. They can't go it alone, so they're going to take a look at that. And a new study says insurance claims are getting a lot more expensive. I just had a friend get his vehicle hit in the back, and it was $7,500 in parts alone. Ooh. So all that, and we're going to have an at-the-wheel review of the Honda Passport Trailsport Edition coming up on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. Well, I can't wait to get into this story, Fred.
Yes, always a good one. We like to cover this every year.
That's right. Well, American-made cars in general, but also what's the most American-made vehicle?
Yeah.
And, most people, including us, would say, the F-150.
Yeah.
Probably.
Or some Chevy. Mustang. Yeah. And
no.
And it doesn't have to be from a U.S.-based company. I mean, I think all of the companies that build cars are what they call multinational companies now. So they're not even necessarily U.S. companies.
That's right. And, of course, the Trailblazers were the Honda and Toyota building plants 40 years ago here.
Oh, yeah.
The Civic and the Accord, they've all been built here since the early 80s.
Yep. And this is
all
how
American.
Cars.com comes up with the American Made Index. It's location of final assembly, percentage of U.S. and Canadian parts, countries of origin for all available engines, countries of origin for all available transmissions, and U.S. manufacturing workforce. And that's how they figure it, not where the company is housed. That doesn't come into it. It is just those factors that I said. So where it's built and the content, what goes into it, what is USA made, or North American made, I should say, because it involves Canada as well. So let's kind of take a look at it. Do you want to work? Let's do the top 10 American-made vehicles, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of them this year are based in around your favorite manufacturer, Les.
Absolutely. In my favorite state.
Go for it.
Yes. Well, it makes sense. We're talking about Tesla, of course.
Yep.
They're domestic. I mean, virtually the whole thing is made. All the parts are made here. Almost all.
Yeah, which is something that we ding Tesla a lot for quality, but that is good that they do that. I just wish they would get their quality better.
Sure.
Gladiator from Jeep. Jeep is a pretty American-made product, although that's changing now because Stellantis came in and you have engines from different places and that. But assembly happens a lot in Toledo, Ohio. That is the big Jeep country that right there, right?
It is, and the Toyota Camry.
Yes.
Solid. At one time, that was the largest single model sold in numbers. Yeah, it was fighting against the Ford Taurus for years. Which one was the number one?
Yeah. And of course, Camry just went all hybrid, and they just started coming off the assembly line in the U.S.
Right.
Honda Ridgeline.
There you go again.
Yeah. And Honda Odyssey, their minivan. So their minivan is more American built than, let's say, the Pacifica, which is further down the line.
Yeah.
And then number 4, Model S, Tesla. Right?
Right. Makes sense that most of the Tesla models are going to be way up here.
Yep.
However, right here on number 3 is the ID4, which is kind of a surprise, but a good surprise.
Yeah, built in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Volkswagen.
Yeah.
And then number 2, oddly enough, is the vehicle that I'm going to be reviewing a little bit later on. It is the Honda Passport, and that is the number 2 most U.S. made vehicle. And then number 1 You and I were talking about this earlier. This is the most popular vehicle in the world. And Les, I'm going to let you reveal that.
That is the Model Y Tesla.
Yeah, the Model
So there you
Y
are.
Tesla.
And then some of the others, by the way, we'll just kind of throw a few out. Like, number 15 is the MDX. And number 16, the Grand Highlander Toyota. And you're not hearing any domestic names, are you?
And F-150 is number 58 on the list.
Yeah.
Number 58. So, hey, that is the Cars.com All-American Index. We'll have more about that after the break, so stay tuned to Cruise Control. Coming up.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back. Welcome back. Shall we continue with this list of American-made vehicles?
Yeah. This is the American Index from Cars.com. They look at a number of things, where the parts are made, where the workforce is, that type of thing. Not necessarily the company, but they have this huge list of vehicles that is, they have, I think, 100. And we wanted to point out where some vehicles that you would think, which are very American, where are they built, or where do they come on that list? And Wrangler's number 30, Jeep Wrangler. That's you would think it's built in Toledo, Ohio. So Mustang is built in Michigan, right? That's number 31 on the list. Corvette, Bowling Green, Kentucky, right? Can't get more American than that. Number 34.
You can't.
And then, okay, best-selling truck, right? For years, number 58,
Yep.
the F-150.
58. Now, we're talking about all kinds of factors that go into this.
Parts
The Tahoe,
and pieces.
Chevy Tahoe is 41.
And this is an interesting one. The Silverado is 89. Some are built in Mexico, I believe, right?
Yeah, some are built in Mexico, whereas, things like the Suburban, that's 39.
That's built in Texas, Arlington, Texas, I believe.
Yeah.
So, interesting stuff. It's, it's just interesting to see where things are built. And it's confusing because people say, I want to buy an American car, but you buy a Silverado 1500, but maybe a Toyota pickup built in the U.S. is, in a sense, more American, right? Because remember, if you have the plant...
You should be saying, I want to buy American, in the sense that I want to buy something built here by Americans, with mostly parts made here.
Yeah.
Parts made by other Americans.
Remember,
That's
when
an
they build a
American-
plant, they have to have all the suppliers
Yep.
that build the parts about 20 miles away. So if it's
That's right.
if it's in, let's say, in the case of the Subaru Crosstrek, it's in Indiana, that means they're not going to, those suppliers within a 20-mile circumference are going to be well within U.S. borders, aren't they?
That's exactly right. And if you go to places like that and go to a plant, and you'll just see, as far as you can see, in any direction, there are factories building seats and exhaust systems and you name it.
Yeah, and it's just in time. They don't stack them up. They don't have pallets full of parts.
Nope.
Although I do recall being in the Corvette plant and looking in through a door, and there were hundreds of LS engines sitting on pallets. And I thought, wow, if only I could take a few of them
Yeah,
and put them into something else,
that's right. Could I just borrow one of those?
You know what killed me? It was terrible. Remember they had the storm at the Corvette plant, and they had all these cars outside, and they were damaged. The body work was damaged or whatever, and they all had to be scrapped. I thought, there's nothing wrong with the drivetrain.
No.
It's actually, some of
Well,
them were probably repairable and could be sold as a
Right.
repaired car, which would be fine. If it was like, well, we have to take that fender off and put another one on. But the drivetrain killed me because that could go in anything. It wasn't hurt at all,
Yeah,
Sad.
but I guess economically, it's more expensive not to scrap it.
Yeah. You would think that they could just knock the VIN plate out and sell them at auction, and people would buy them and say you can't ever go back on the road. But, certainly there's great parts that could be harvested off of those by guys
Yeah.
that do that. So it just feels wasteful. So anyway, our next question, and this was an interesting story, Les. You and I know that several U.S. manufacturers decided that China was their market, that they made that market even more important than the U.S. market, right? You and I have seen that some manufacturers, like GM, have said that that's their main market. They release vehicles there, and if they do well, then they'll bring them to the U.S., right?
That's
GM
right.
being one of the
They've
biggest.
been there. Yeah, they've been there since the early 90s when they built a huge factory.
Yeah. Now, one analyst, according to this Reuters article, is saying that it's time for Ford and General Motors to leave the Chinese market to preserve capital in amid the costly EV transition. And this analyst said, I think you will see the Detroit 3 exit China as soon as they possibly can. John Murphy, Bank of America Securities analyst, said at his annual presentation of Car Wars, a closely watched industry report. what do you think? I mean, we have manufacturers like Ford. Ford says we might not sell in that market, but we might build our vehicles there. Like the Nautilus, a large SUV, is built there. They're all built there. All of a sudden, every one of them is built in China because it was designed for the Chinese market. And if they get out of the Chinese market, I think they'll still manufacture there. Talk about American-made index.
Well, but then politically, what happens if you leave your factory there, but you no longer sell to the Chinese? What does the Chinese government do? Do they say, "Well,
we
we're
own
just going to take over your factory"?
Lincoln? Yeah, we.
Yeah.
I know. That is, people talk about products like the fake products, right? And I think what happens, they call it China real. What happens is you come to me, I have a Chinese factory, and you said, I want you to build 10 million widget A's, right? And I was like, okay, I build that, but I have so many parts left over that I decide, you know what? I'm going to keep building them and market them as a widget B.
Right.
And that's what happens. I mean, so it's like they just decide, like, oh, I'll make more and sell them as something else.
They've done this for probably centuries, but certainly in large scale and World War II, everything that, like every airplane that landed on free Chinese soil wasn't returned to the U.S. It was taken apart and copied by the Chinese.
Yeah, very good at
for
copying
their air forces, and they've done that with everything.
Right.
Over all those decades, car parts, oil filters, they just copy our stuff because they have no regard for patent laws or anything else.
Copyright, anything like that. Yeah.
That's right.
And sometimes the copies are okay, and other times it's empty. It's just an empty oil filter with nothing in it, or a shredded piece of paper. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I recall being at the SEMA show, and it was a gas cap manufacturer, and he showed me the counterfeit part, and it actually had the company's name on it. His company, the real company's name on it.
Yeah. Oh,
that's a problem in the U.S. if you did that.
They're not shy.
They're not shy about that. So, what do you think will happen? I mean, this is kind of a bad play for GM that they made this such a big deal, and Buick did well, very well. That kind of revived that brand. Now they're building Buicks in China. But if they pull out of that market, do they just stop building them? I don't know. Or do they do like Ford? We'll keep building them there, but we don't sell them there. I don't know. It seems like a bad deal.
Well, the Chinese will keep building because they have all the software. They have all of the tooling.
Yeah. They'll
just keep going.
They'll just sell them as something else. Yeah. Well, we'll stay on this, and we got plenty more Cruise Control coming up. So stay tuned to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine with Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We will be right back.
Cruise control.
And welcome back. Welcome back. Well, it's an anniversary, Fred.
Hey, happy anniversary, Les.
Well, it's not our anniversary.
All right.
It's the BMW X5 anniversary. It has been built, invented, and launched in Spartanburg, South Carolina, 25 years ago. We entered the market there. Actually, the launch, because I was there, was in Asheville, North Carolina, at a resort, and lovely event.
Yeah. What a
Nice
success story
off-road.
for BMW.
Incredibly successful.
Yeah. Been around forever. I say shows no sign of going away for sure.
No.
And if you want one of these in Germany, guess where it comes from? South Carolina.
That's right.
And that's anywhere. You want one anywhere in the world, you order it up from South Carolina. So let's talk about this anniversary edition. It is standard individual lime rock gray metallic paint, standard X off-road package, 2-axle air suspension, underbody protection plates, and 4 drive modes. Do you think these vehicles get taken off-road that much? I think they're more of an elegant vehicle to transport yourself around in, right?
Yeah.
Distinctive trim includes 20-inch M-Star spoke wheels and extended Shadowline trim, carbon fiber interior trim, and silver anniversary edition badging, limited to about 1,000 units with an MSRP of $79,900 plus $1,175 destination.
That would be 80,000, 81,000.
Yes. I'm not sure there'll be markup on this, but we'll see. I mean, you get the upholstery choices are black, cognac, coffee, or Silverstone Sensafin, whatever that is. Do you know what that is? I'm not sure what that is.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, but a nice-looking vehicle. I guess potentially a collectible. That's a low number of them, but it's mostly trim and packaging. But congratulations to BMW for having that and
Right.
that keeping the X5 around. And certainly, I remember when that came out, and it was a big deal. Wow, BMW is making a truck. Remember that? It was a big deal.
Yeah. They're making an off-road SUV.
Yeah.
And that's when SUVs were being sold for off-road.
Yeah. And now, of course, they have the X3, which we talked about recently, a new fourth edition of that, or fourth generation of that, the X7, and who knows, probably more down the line, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Now it's luxury travel, luxury off-road.
yeah. Well, let's talk about manufacturers working together. It's kind of an interesting theme on this hour of Cruise Control. We're talking about U.S. manufacturers building things in China, first for the Chinese, now maybe for the U.S., maybe moving from China, the American index.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to talk about car manufacturers working together. And you and I know they're facing a lot of challenges. They have to spend money on self-driving technology and electric vehicles and that transition, and who knows what, maybe hydrogen down the future. Toyota this week announced they still want to build performance cars like the GR Supra and the GR86, but they say they can't do it alone. They cannot build performance cars alone, and that's why they're working with companies like BMW and Subaru to build these vehicles, and they're saying this will continue in the future. There's a rumor that they might build a new sports car based on the Suzuki Cappuccino, which is a very popular model around the world, but we just don't have it here because Suzuki left the market a long time ago. I like the name though, don't you?
That's a great name. You know, this isn't Suzuki, but I didn't know until recently that Toyota actually owns part of Subaru.
I did not know that either. That's
Yeah, I
I
believe
guess
it's 30%,
was
but
that
they
part of
own
the deal to make the 86 and the BRZ?
I believe actually they've owned part of Subaru for quite a while. I have to look that up, find out what the particulars are, but you just go right past you. You don't realize it.
Yeah, you don't realize it, but manufacturers working together, and I think it makes sense. I really do, because it takes a lot to launch a automaker, and you look at certain failures like Fisker, and the money that Tesla spent to get up and going, just losing money consistently. I think they fixed that. Manufacturers losing money on every electric vehicle, they still lose $6,000-7,000 on them,
Yep.
if not more. You can't do that.
Well, not for very long.
No.
Whereas Toyota, is saying that you just can't build things like sports cars because the market for them is so small
Right.
alone, whereas you can build them and share the markets with people. I love his comment. He says, I want to work with a smile on my face. If I'm not smiling, I can't make the customer smile.
I like
Nice.
that. And I'm
I like
sure that makes it a
attitude.
good place to work because of the
Yeah.
president of the GR company that says that. So I was watching Le Mans last week, and they talk about Gazoo racing. It's just funny. But did you watch any of Le Mans? It was just every time I watched it for like 4 hours, and everyone was driving around behind the safety car because it was a downpour.
Just a little bit. I caught about 20 minutes of it. And it's the premier world racing event.
I was interested to learn that there are bronze, silver, and gold drivers on a three-person team, and that during the rain, where they were following around the safety car for hours, they put the bronze drivers in basically to almost like a pilot to get hours or behind the wheel. And so they're at reduced speeds, which was still over 100 miles an hour in the rain and fog. Like you couldn't see. The in-cars were ridiculous. It was like you were going through a car wash.
Yeah.
With the wiper going. I remember one poor guy came right out off his brake. He says, "My foot is cramping up." I thought, this is going to be a great 3 or 4 hour stint, right? Or they do 2 hour stints. It's a great way to start a 2 hour racing stint with a cramped up foot, right? Hopefully it will loosen up. But
something will loosen up.
Just watching the safety car. The safety cars were out for so long, 3 of them, that they had to bring out 3 more because the other ones need to go in and get fuel. So
It's remarkable.
I just wouldn't want to be out there doing that in that way. Hey, let's look at a new study that insurance claims are much more expensive than they used to be. As I always say, like things like a taillight or headlight could be $1,000 or multiple $1,000s. So this is from an insurance industry study, LexisNexis Risk Solution, and the bodily injury and property damage claims have climbed steadily since 2020. Claims for bodily injury have risen in severity by 20%. And
That's
material damages have increased by 47%. Parts and labor shortages contributed, as did increases in the cost of medical care. There are 43 states plus Washington, D.C. that require $25,000 or less in coverage, while 4 states have a minimum $30,000 coverage, and 3 others have minimums of $50,000, barely covering the average new car vehicle price in the United States. And when you think about that, the average price going up does not only affect what you pay in the dealership, but it affects what you pay just using the vehicle, right, and insuring it.
Yeah, that's right. And again, think about it. The vehicle prices have shot up kind of exponentially in the last 5 or 6 years. So, so the price to fix them has also followed that.
Also, uninsured motorists have shot up.
Yeah, and the one thing that has not changed at all is Americans' driving habits.
That's true.
And driving skills, which are some of the worst in the world.
On that note, we're going to take a
yes.
break and be back with an At the Wheel review. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson, we're glad you're with us. Don't forget to check out all our social media, Cruise Control Radio. Find it on YouTube, all over the place. We've got an at-the-wheel review. This time it is the 2024 Honda Passport Trailsport. And just like many manufacturers, Honda wants to get into the beefier off-road look, and they've done that with the Trailsport Passport. Passport starts out as the truckiest Honda, I believe, out there when it comes to SUVs. And they've upgraded this one. Trailsport is designed for off-roading. This is a 5-passenger SUV. They've put in 20-inch alloy wheels, more aggressive tires. They have fairly aggressive tires that are fairly noisy on the road, to be accurate. They have the mud gripping sidewalls. These things do. Overall, the interior seems large in this vehicle. It's a high roof line. On the inside, you get the orange Trailsport logos and the orange piping on the seats and stitching on the seats, which goes through the interior. It's also found on the door cards. Very car-like inside. A lot of soft touch, high-grain materials, a lot of black, as usual. This was interesting. They have an old foot-operated parking brake. No electronic parking brake on the Passport, which is kind of a throwback. But overall, the interior is very car-like. Push-button shifter. All the amenities are there. Yes, there are plenty of buttons for everything, which is nice to see, and we like that a lot. Heated front seats with a button to activate them. No big touchscreen. Even a heated steering wheel button on the steering wheel. Gauges are clear and analog, but a bit austere, I thought. Push-button screen, had Garmin navigation. If you don't like that, you can use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Controls were large, easy to see. There was a volume knob for the radio. Out back, kind of unique setup for the rear seat. You also get the orange stitching and all that. Decent leg room. There's a 2-prong power port for 110 on an inverter, a couple of USB-C connections, cup holders, of course, nicely found in the door cards and the door handles. I thought that was a nice addition. Screens to keep the sun down. Good rear legroom, flat floor in the back, which is welcome, with a ruggedized rubber seat covering, and then full flat rear seats, which is nice, flat floor for that. I found this kind of unique. You can slide the seat up, basically all the way up, to get more room in the back without folding it down. Overall, car-like on the inside, very Honda. You know you're in a Honda. A lot of parts and pieces look very, very similar to some of the cars even. Out back, a tremendous amount of storage. This is a 5-passenger, so no third row. So a great amount of storage, really, really well-finished back area to the vehicle, kind of with a carpeting type material. You get a remote seat release and a power outlet for 12 volts. And then underneath, if you flip up the storage floor, there is a large storage bin, plastic bin, which is nice. And if you flip it one flip further, yes, you get a spare tire, which is really nice to see. These vehicles come with a V6, 280 horsepower V6. Kind of rare these days to get a V6 and not a Turbo 4. This one had the VTM4 all-wheel drive system. Mileage, not great on this vehicle for the Trailsport. It is 19 city, 24 highway, 21 combined. Ours was in a very, very nice red, which is an upcharge of $455. Radiant red metallic, that is an upcharge for that. And as I said, the Trailsport package comes in. The base build is $44,955. That is the total MSRP. I take that back. Base price is $44,500. We added the $455 for the red metallic, and destination was $1,395. Total MSRP $46,350. Ride quality less. These tires kicked up quite a bit of noise. I think it's just because they have a lot of tread and they have a lot of they catch a lot of air. But it is the look people are going for. These are 18-inch tires, and I would say it's a soft off-roader. It is an off-roader that's trying to look a little bit tougher, but I would not take this on the Rubicon Trail. Is it capable in mud and snow and all that? Sure. It is not one, though, that I would do any serious off-roading with. But as we mentioned, all the manufacturers like to have that kind of tougher look, and that's what the Passport has done, although not as much as, let's say, Toyota or other manufacturers. Overall, good quality. These are built in the U.S., and as you know, we just talked about this, that they are the number 2 most American-made vehicle. The Passport is in the U.S. So built in the U.S. and it is built with a lot of U.S. parts. So there you have it. Overall, even without the Trailsport package list, this is kind of truck-like, the most truck-like vehicle that you can get from Honda. What I like about it is the high roof line, the great visibility, the big greenhouse in the vehicle. It's not one of those squeezed-down SUVs, and I think that is a popular feeling. It makes me think of the some of Subaru's offerings, where you can see that the Forester, where it has a very tall greenhouse, and that is welcomed, and it almost has become a feature, and I would imagine it is a feature for the people that buy Passports. So overall, I would say as a package, the Trailsport is kind of a very light off-roader. It's mostly all-terrain tires. I don't think they've done anything to the ride height, but it's kind of a looks thing. I guess it gives it a little bit more capability, but is it worth it? It's about roughly I don't know, a couple of $1,000 upgrade. They call it an off-road tuned suspension, trail-ready all-terrain tires. You have to decide if that's a look that you want for yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the less capable upgraded models. So you're not getting things like Fox shocks and all that, but it still gives a little bit tougher look. I found the tires to be noisy, though. They were a little bit of the hum on the highway. So I don't know. I don't know if I've had other Passports that I liked, I think, a little bit better, that were just not, not...
And quieter.
Yeah, quieter. What I like about the Passport, it's got kind of a military look to it, depending on your color. Mm-hmm. That's kind of fun. I just don't think the Trailsport was the big package, that you would want to go for and say, wow, this really takes it to the next level. Just my take on it. Mileage for all the Passports is not great. So, 21, 24 highway, 21 combined, not the best. But American-made vehicle, certainly number 2 on the Cars.com American Index. So a couple of things to think about. There's also a new black edition. Hey, we appreciate you listening to Cruise Control. We will see you down the road.
Bye-bye.